dividing up the ABN.
Okay, so the meeting is being recorded, California being a two-party state. If you don't want to be recorded, please exit, because we're not going to stop recording. Let's see. I meant to have a slide today that recapped what's coming up. The adult brand newbies who started on the 3rd of January are about halfway through, kind of climbing up the ladder to get oriented to the mechanics and everything. And at the same time, the people who have been with us for a while or are returning to bridge with some degree of experience, we've just been doing a topic a week on kind of fun things. I think it's February 28th. We'll start our formal curriculum, which is going to be about 7 weeks on play of the hand as declarer, because it's super important and it's super fun. And then we'll spend several weeks on bidding. We'll spend a couple of weeks on defense and then several weeks on bidding. So that's kind of the background of where we're at.
Phil, can I ask a question?
You just did. You want to ask another one?
I would, yes, please. Are you going to teach us about different kinds of conventions when we talk about bidding?
Yes, there'll be a variety of conventions that we cover.
All right.
I'm very big on minimal conventions, but conventions that are really useful and come up a lot. When my wife and I started playing in 1981, we bid 4-card majors, because that's what my parents taught me in the 60s. And we bid Stayman, Blackwood, Unusual No Trump. That was all our conventions. And we accumulated like 80 master points in 4 years or something. So, you know, it's possible to do okay without a lot of machinery. And then we started adding things really slowly. I've commented before that the only way you actually learn a convention is by really, really goofing it up a few times. And I give as an example the time that I was declaring a 4-heart contract in a 3-2 fit while staring at 10 spades between me and my partner. So it's like, okay, we won't goof that one up again. Now, will we? All righty. Anything else anybody wants to talk about before I start sharing screen? All righty. So
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So we've seen a lot of different ways to lay out the bidding strategy on paper. Do you have a favorite one that you like, the way it looks and the way it flows? Because it's so hard to put it onto paper.
It's totally impossible to put it onto paper. I just bought a really cool bridge book by a guy who used to be very, very good and play a lot. And then he decided to really slow down, and he and his partner wrote up their so-called system notes. The book is 540 pages long. There are many teachers who've written good things. There's a woman named Audrey Grant who's written some really good stuff, including a little tiny brochure that I think is probably the best general summary of the first and second bids in Standard American that I've seen. That's kind of what I'd recommend. And again, when we start in about 4 weeks, we'll start with a lot of play of the hand stuff, and then we'll start walking through bidding. Anyway, great question. I can send you a note with the things that I think are most important. Other questions?
Yes, is that Audrey Grant's the first book, or is it later
Well,
on?
she has a little pamphlet. It's like 8 inches by 2.5 inches that she sells for $10 or something.
Great.
I have one right here. It's called Audrey Grant Bridge at a Glance expanded version, and
I think
I'll put it in the chat.
yeah,
Thank you.
she's quite good. And when you get ready to play like competitive bridge, she hosts a game on Saturdays. And she also hosts like a social bridge thing on Saturdays. I mean, her website hosts it. I don't know who's really there. But
Phil, I
Yeah.
just put in a message saying that I found a handy 2-page cheat sheet with all the standard bids, responses, and so forth that is really a good condensed thing you can kind of carry around on a site called No Fear Bridge.
Great.
So if you Google No Fear Bridge, they have a little sort of a freebie. They do lessons, but they have a freebie that you can download, which is a cheat sheet with all these little things, I think, that are pretty much exactly the ones we've learned.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And I have to laugh whenever I hear something like No Fear Bridge. The vision that comes to mind is Luke in the swamp on that planet and saying, "I'm not afraid." And Yoda says, "You will be."
Yeah.
Okay, so what I wanted to do today is, and I hope we can kind of squeeze this all in today. A lot of it will be repeat for people who've been in this group before, or for people who played much in the past. So I don't want to go too fast, but I do want to cover things.
Hi, Mary. This is Ruth Ackerman
And-
speaking. I think you
And
just called me.
and the topic is, why does declare count winners in a no trump contract and losers in a suit contract? And I like to find an image that supports my title, but the best I could come up with is a quote from somebody I knew in high school. It works, don't it? So here's some semi-serious responses. My mom used to say, no trump is a race. You want to establish your tricks before they establish their tricks. And that's true for both the offense and the defense. So what the offense wants to do is count how many tricks you can take right away and say, how many more do you need? And where can you find them? And then you go find them. And in a suit contract, it's really different, because in no trump, if the bad guys knock out your stoppers, they can take a bunch of tricks in a suit, right? But in a suit contract, you typically have a bunch of trump, and so you're in control. So you just want to make sure you don't lose too many tricks. That's why you count losers. So hopefully what we'll talk through today helps support this. I did want to start out with a comment. Don't be afraid of playing no trump contracts. Lots of people get really nervous playing no trump contracts. This is a screenshot of 3 hands that my wife Dana and I played, 3 hands in a row in a tournament. And the way they score tournament bridge is percentile versus people who held the exact same cards. And so we scored 87th percentile, 96th percentile, and 91st percentile in 3 consecutive no trump contracts. We didn't do anything brilliant. So don't be scared, is my counsel. In fact, what happened was, in each case, the defense gave us 1 or 2 extra tricks. So are you ready for the little secret that nobody tells you? Defending one no trump is harder than declaring one no trump. So anytime you're declaring one no trump and you're getting a little nervous, just remind yourself that the other guys, the bad guys, are in way more trouble than you are. And we had a cool hand just a day or two ago. There were 55 tables playing the same cards. 42 of them played in a suit contract on this one particular hand, and the other 13 played in one no trump. And 12 of those 13 tied for the best score on the board, on the hand. So no trump contracts are really good things. So, okay. Counsel, don't, quote, run your winners in a no trump contract. Let's look at this hand. 3 no trump contract by South. let's see, North has 16 high card points and South has 12. That's 28. Both hands are pretty balanced. Seems like a reasonable contract, right? So if we just run our winners, how many tricks can we take immediately?
7.
2 in spades, 2 in hearts, 2 in clubs, and 1 in diamonds. We could take 7 immediate tricks. And then what would happen?
You lose the rest of them.
They'd take all the rest. So while we're still in control, we want to establish or develop additional tricks. So what we want to do is count the tricks we can take immediately, 7, and then say, how many more do we need and where can we get them? And on the next slide, we're going to look at this hand and think about how to do that. But what's everybody's kind of first blush? Where might you get extra tricks?
Clubs.
Club suit. Yeah, you might have to lose a trick to the queen.
Yeah.
But then you develop more tricks. So here's the same contract, the same opening lead. How do you feel about this contract? I'm feeling good, Lewis. I can take 7 immediate tricks. I need 2 more. The club suit, we have 7, they have 6. It probably splits 3-3 or maybe 4-2. And we've got the ace, king, jack, 10 to cover the first 4 rounds. So let's just play the ace, king, and then we'll go over to dummy and we'll play the jack and force them to play the queen. And now we've got 2 additional club tricks that we've developed or established or set up. All those are synonyms in the bridge world. So the message here is you can establish tricks in a long suit. And most importantly, it's okay to give up tricks early to be able to take more tricks later.
Bill, can we do the same thing in diamonds?
That's an interesting question. It's yes. The short answer is yes. The long answer is it's a little riskier, right? Because they have the king, jack, 10, 9. We might have to give up 2 diamond tricks.
Mhm.
And if we have to give up 2 diamond tricks, they've led a heart. They're going to get in. They're going to lead another heart. They're going to get in on the other diamond. And now they might take hearts. But I love the thought. In fact, here's a side note. Suppose the lead over here had been the 2 of diamonds. Does this change much about how you look at the hand? Not really, but what it does do is it guarantees you a second diamond trick,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
right? If they lead a small diamond, you play small from dummy. If this guy plays the king, now you've got 2 diamond tricks.
Right.
If this guy plays small, you take the queen and you've got 2 diamond tricks. So position is everything. Position is just huge. The play of the cards it's just magical. It's okay. So I'm going to walk through, I think it's about maybe 4 no trump declare or play hands. And I thought I'd show the bidding conversation that occurs. And again, we're not talking bidding right now. We're going to do that in several weeks. But here's example hand number 1. So when we're having a bidding conversation, we're just trying to answer 2 questions. What suit and how high? So let's suppose that South deals. South has 4, 8, 10, 16 high card points. Again, ace, king, king is 10 and 6, 16. I always count the points twice. And I always find it's easier to look for combinations that make numbers that are easy for me to deal with. So South has 16 high card points, a balanced hand. And so South opens 1 no trump. So now North, and again, bidding is a conversation. North has 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Or you could look at the combination ace, king, queen, jack, that's 10. And we know we need around 25 high card points to make a game in no trump. So North has 10 and knows that South has 15 to 17. North has 10, so North knows they should be in game. And we love the expression, she who knows goes. So North knows where to be. North now knows the answers to these two questions. We want to be in no trump at the 3 level, and so North just bids it. If you think to yourself, this is what we're trying to answer in bidding, it'll really help with your bidding, and most importantly, it'll help you feel more comfortable. Okay, so the opening leads the 7 of hearts. What do? We count the tricks we can take immediately. How many tricks can we take immediately?
5. 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A spade, the ace, king of hearts, and the ace, king of diamonds. That's it.
Mhm.
Where could we find more tricks?
Clubs.
Clubs.
Clubs. Yep, that's a great idea. There's 3 general ways to take more tricks. We establish or promote or set up or develop honor cards. So in clubs, we've got the king, queen, jack. The jack kind of sits on the 2 in my view. Got the king, queen, jack, 10. If we can make them play the ace, we will create 3 tricks,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now we've gone from 5 up to 8. We can also establish long suits, but on this hand, other than clubs, we don't have a long suit.
Right.
So is there anywhere else we could look for trick 9?
You could try for a finesse and spades.
We can try a finesse in spades. Let's hope a finesse is a hope. Let's hope the king of spades is in west.
Hmm.
So we'll lead a small spade from our hand, planning to play the queen. And if that works, we'll have trick 9. And if not, we'll be down 1. And does anybody remember what my mom says about going down 1?
Down 1 is great bridge.
Down 1 is a good bid, absolutely, except when my dad went down 1, but I digress. Our questions about this hand. We knock out the clubs first, and then we try the spade finesse later. Here's another one. This is a fun one.
Bill, what club would you have put down first?
Well, the short story is it doesn't matter. The long story is I like to maintain flexibility. I like to maintain the ability to move from one hand to the other. Now, I'm not going to have much problem with transportation here because I can get back and forth in diamonds. I can get over here in hearts. I can get over there in spades. I would start with a small club to one of the big ones over here because it leaves me with the ability to use transportation in clubs. Make sense?
Okay.
I mean, because you have tons of other transportation, it won't really matter. But that's
But stick
a
with the
great
clubs until you
question.
finish it.
Other questions?
Stick with the clubs until you finish it.
Yeah, just keep banging away at the clubs until they take their ace. I mean, if they let you take 3 of them, then stop. Because you ain't going to get a 4th. So this is a really fun one. So let's have the bidding conversation. And again, we're not doing bidding right now, but South is the dealer. South has 4, 7, 10, 14, 18, 21. That's strong enough, and it's balanced. That's strong enough to open 2 no trump, which shows 20 or 21. And so what should North do? We like to look for a major fit. We're not going to have one of those. So North has 7 and South has at least 20. Where should we be?
No Trump.
And a no Trump.
We should be in 3-no Trump. We got it, the strength for game, and we don't have a major fit. So North bids 3-no.
Mhm.
So let's count the tricks we can take immediately. Oh, opening lead of a heart. Count the tricks you can take immediately. How many do you see?
8.
8.
2 in each suit, right? Got the ace king of every suit. Where could we find more tricks?
Diamonds.
Diamonds.
Diamonds. Yeah, we got no honor cards to set up, right? We don't have the Jack 10 of clubs or anything. And we don't have any finesses. But it looks like we'd be maybe able to get more tricks in diamonds.
Phil,
The
is
suit
there
is,
a
yeah, question?
particular number of cards that determine a long suit? Is it 6, 7?
Well, let's think about it for a minute. If you have 6, how many do
They have 7.
7. So if you have 6, like we have in clubs, they've got 7.
Yeah.
So no matter how evenly they split, somebody's got 4. Right, 4 and 3 or 5 and 2. Somebody's got 4 clubs, and they're never going to let you take a trick with your 3 or your 2. Actually, sometimes they will, but that's a whole nother story.
So how would you,
so
how would you
the-
set up the diamonds, given the fact that you don't have any, if you have to do something with that? Are you going to talk about that? Because it's complicated.
Absolutely. That's why this hand is so much fun. Suppose we take the ace king of diamonds and the diamond split 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
Then we lead a third diamond and the bad guys take it.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't ever get back to dummy.
Right.
That's what you saw, right, Ann?
Oh, yeah.
So how are
All
you going to
right.
do it?
So what could we do? And again, reiterating, let's assume the diamonds are 3-2. And the problem is you win the ace king, and then they win the third round, and you're all out. And
Right.
you can't get back to dummy.
Right.
Any ideas? Let's think about
Who's
it.
one first?
The first 2 rounds of
Yeah.
diamonds.
Yeah. Let's play low and low. We have to lose one eventually, right?
Mhm.
I mean, if we take the ace king, they've got a good one. We've only got they've got the queen, jack 10, 9, 8. So let's lose our trick early, not late. So let's lead a low diamond and play low from dummy. And they'll win the first diamond trick, not the third one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we play the ace king and all the remaining diamonds fall.
Oh, good point. Okay.
Well,
And
if you
for
get a
those
good
of you-
break.
Yeah, for those of you who did Kidda puzzles, bonus points if you thought it's really a problem of entries. Isn't this cool?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and you look at it and you think, oh, this is just Phil making up some BS to,
Oh, no.
You see this at the table a lot. I mean, it may not be quite as crystal clear as this one. But you see this at the table a lot. You lose a trick early to be able to win more later. And Ted actually said, let's lose 2 rounds. In case they break 4-1, we could actually give up 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And if they break 4-1, now we go over to the ace king and their last 2 fall.
They'd
So
probably
we
force
could
us
give
to.
up 2 rounds.
They'd probably force us to do that.
Yeah, the problem is they would have set up the heart suit by then.
The hard suit?
Isn't this totally cool?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so
I mean-
planning the play of a no trump hand, we count the tricks we can take immediately, and we look for ways to create more tricks. Playing a suit contract is different. In a suit contract, we pick the hand with the longer trump suit as kind of the the reference hand. Let's just assume it's declarer, it's usually declarer. And then we're going to count the losers. And it's okay to include help from dummies high cards, but we're going to count the losers, and then we're going to look for ways to eliminate them. And I think maybe half a dozen hands on this, because I even though people are more comfortable playing a suit contract, I think suit contracts in many ways are actually harder to play. So sometimes we can throw our losers on winners in dummy. Sometimes we can trump our losers in dummy, and sometimes we can take finesses. So let's look at some examples. And one of the things that I kind of realized
Thank
is,
you.
yes, question?
No, sorry.
Oh, sorry. One of the things that I realized is that I look at cards differently than other people do. And I think it's just because I played a ton of cards when I was a kid growing up. So what I wanted to do here was explain how I think about counting losers. And let's just assume on each of these hands that South is declarer, and we're going to count the losers from South's point of view. So let's step through this one suit at a time. So first, let's look at the diamond suit. Here's how I think of it. Dummies, ace, and king are going to cover these little ones. And my queen is the next highest one. So from South's perspective, I have no losers in diamonds. I'm not going to lose any diamond tricks. And in clubs, the king covers the two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got to lose the ace, but that's the only one I have to lose. Once I lose the ace, everything's good. So I have one club loser. Pretty clearly, I have no spade losers.
Right.
And pretty clearly, I have no heart losers. So what's going to happen? I'm going to call trump. I'm going to give up the ace of clubs and take 12 tricks. What do you think?
You're gonna make six tricks, right? Be six.
I'm going to make 6. Yep.
Right, should you have,
Well,
yeah,
Should we have bid it?
yeah, should you have bid it?
Yeah. That's a whole nother conversation. It's not a particularly easy slam to bid in some ways, but we'll look at slams that are easier to bid. So let's look at another one. So the contract here is 3 clubs. So clubs is our trump suit. So let's count losers. How many losers do we have? Again, we'll count from South's point of view. How many losers do we have in diamonds?
None.
None, because the ace is going to cover the jack. It's going to take care of that jack. I can play the jack and win it with the ace. No losers in diamonds, because after that I can trump. What about clubs?
One.
One.
One. Yeah, I mean, on a really bad day, the clubs might go 4-0, but we don't, if that happens, it happens. So we've got the jack coming down here to cover one of these, and probably the clubs go 2-2 or 3-1. And so we have one club loser, the ace. What about hearts?
One.
One.
One heart loser. Yep, there's nothing over here to cover the 4. What about spades?
2.
2.
2. We don't have anything over here to help cover up these losers. Is there any way we can try to get rid of any of these losers?
Yeah, if you're in clubs.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
hearts.
Yeah, I don't see any way to make the ace of clubs disappear under the table. And the spades, they've got the king, queen, jack. I can't see any way to get rid of that. But in hearts, we could hope that the queen is over here, and we could lead the jack through the queen
Mhm.
and hope that a finesse will work.
Yeah.
So in hearts, we can try a finesse. So that's how I would think of this hand from South's point of view. I would call trump, which includes losing the ace. You know, it's got to happen, right?
And Phil, would you do that sooner rather than later?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, suppose the hearts are, suppose the hearts are 6-1. And we win our heart finesse. And then we do it again. And they trump our winning ace.
Right.
Right? We want to get the little children off the street most of the time. So I would get in, I would call trump, and then I would try the I'd try the heart finesse. Here's another one, 2 hearts by South. Let's start, I think, from this side. How many diamond losers?
2.
2.
2 diamond losers. Nothing we can do about that. What about clubs?
None.
None.
None, because the king and queen kind of physically cover the 10 and 4. That's what I realized is different from how I look at this than people who maybe didn't play as many cards growing up. I just think, oh, these things can like come over here and cover these up. I don't have to worry about those. What about hearts?
None.
None.
Yeah, none, because I got the ace, king, jack to cover up all these little ones. What about spades?
Oh,
2.
2.
2.
2. Let's be really careful about counting. From South's point of view, how many spade losers do we have?
3.
3.
3.
We have 3. Is there any way we can get rid of a spade loser?
Yes.
Yep.
And it is,
We would trumpet.
we'll trump it in dummy. Right?
Mhm.
We'll lose 2 spades.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one, we will trump in dummy. And the reason we actually have to be a little careful about counting is, suppose we're just dying to call trump and the trumps are 4-0.
Mm.
Well, by the time we called trumps, we wouldn't have any left in dummy.
Mm.
So we do
Oh.
have to be a little bit careful about this. We'll see a good hand later to think about that. But there's 2 diamond losers and 3 spade losers, one of which we plan to trump in dummy.
So Bill, since there's only 5, we only have 5 spades, is there any argument for going for the spades first in order to trump that before?
That's a great question. If I were declaring this hand,
Uh-huh.
I would play 1 round of hearts.
Okay.
And if each person plays 1, then I know it's either 2-2 or 3-1. And I can call all the trumps. And then I'll still have a trump in dummy to
Okay.
take care of that spade. But if I play, say, the ace of hearts and one of the bad guys discards, now I know that I can't really afford to call all the trumps right away. And I'll immediately lose my spade tricks.
Okay.
The great question. By the way, there's a very small chance if clubs are 3-3 that the 4th club would set up. Right? Whenever you look at 4 opposite 3, they've got 6. About a third of the time, they're going to go 3-3. And so if they didn't take their diamonds right away, we'd call trump, play the ace, king, queen of clubs. And if the clubs split, we could play our 13th club and throw away a diamond. Not very likely, but could happen. Okay, let's look at another one. 6 spades by South. How many people get nervous playing a slam? Okay, so slams are usually way easier to play than any other contract because you don't usually bid one unless you've got a boatload of points.
That's true.
Or as my daughter would say, a metric shit ton. So, so 6 spades by South. How many diamond losers do we have in South?
One.
One, because the ace queen covered 2 of them, but one of them is unaccounted for.
Mm-hmm.
What about clubs?
One.
One.
One. We got to lose the ace, right? What about hearts?
One.
One.
One. We don't have anything over here to cover up the 4. And what about spades?
None.
No.
No.
Okay.
Just
So
one.
we're playing 6 spades and we're looking at 3 losers. Do we panic?
No.
No. What
Looking
can
at
we
2
do about
losers,
this
aren't you?
4th diamond? What can we do about this last diamond?
Rough.
We can trump it in dummy, right?
Mhm.
So we'll rough the diamond loser in dummy. Is there anything we can do about the club loser? I don't think so.
No.
Unless they want to swallow the ace. I don't think so. What about the heart loser? Well, we don't have a finesse.
Mm-mm.
Anything else anybody can think of?
Could you dump the 4 on the second club trick?
Yeah. If we play the king of clubs, again, be willing to lose a trick early to win one later. If you play the king of clubs to knock out the ace, now the queen is good.
Mm-hmm.
We can play the queen and throw away the 4 of hearts.
Mm-hmm.
This slam is rock solid. When we first counted, we counted 3 possible losers. One of them we trumped in dummy, and one of them we threw on the established queen of clubs. So the plan is call trump, play and lose the king of clubs in order to set up the queen. We'll rough our little diamond in dummy, and when we're there, we'll cash the queen of clubs and throw away our little heart. And we'll make 6. How about this 4 spade contract by South?
Hmm.
How many losers do we see in diamonds?
2.
2. 1.
Well, I'm sorry, I guess I started over here with clubs. Clubs, no losers. Hearts, 2 losers.
Yeah.
No spade losers. Actually, we've got 3 diamond losers.
Why?
Well, it can be a little hard to see that, but let's just suppose for a minute that the opposing cards lie like this. If we lead a little one toward the king, they'll take their ace,
Mm-hmm.
and then they'll lead through our jack 9, and the queen 10 will kill both of them. Or if we start from this side, this person will play low. And if we play the 9, they'll take the 10. If we play the jack, they'll take the queen. And then later on, they'll take the ace. They'll take our king with the ace. It's just a mess.
Mm,
It can be really hard to see that.
yeah.
If they start the suit, it actually helps you a lot, as we've seen, positional value, right? If you get to play 4th, good things happen. But potentially we have 2 heart losers and 3 diamond losers.
Phil, can I ask a question?
Of
I
course.
know. Can I ask a second question? Why would they lead the king of hearts?
So the first comment I'm going to make is I had a colleague, every time he was my boss at the time before I became one of the partners. Every time I walked into his office, I said, Pete, can I ask you a question? And he'd say, you already did. And it took me 1 year to learn to walk in and say, Pete, can I ask you 2 questions? So Patty, you are approximately 365 times smarter than I. So why would they lead the King of Hearts? Why do you think they might have led the Queen of Hearts?
They have the Queen of Hearts.
Yeah, they have the Queen.
Or
Maybe
it's a
you got the
singleton.
King, Queen, Jack.
Or
And-
single.
Or yeah, potentially a singleton. But they probably have something like the King, Queen, or King, Queen, Jack. And on defense, if you have a holding like that, you want to attack, right? You want to knock out declarer's ace. So we get the lead of the King of Hearts.
Yeah, but he hasn't seen, okay, I'm not on mute. Okay, but he hasn't seen the dummy yet. So if that's
No,
his,
he hasn't seen dummy until he leads the king.
okay, now he knows there's a, There's-
And now he sees dummy.
right.
So how do we think about playing this hand? Is there anything we can do about the diamond losers? Well, maybe we hope they lead diamonds, which will help us.
Right.
Mhm.
Is there anything we can do about the heart losers?
Trump.
We can trump them in dummy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Is there anything tricky about that? Suppose the spades are 3-2. And we win the ace of hearts on the first trick, and we call trump.
Then you
What
don't have
happened?
enough to, you don't have enough to trump.
We don't have any trump left in dummy.
You have to start with that.
We gotta win the opening lead,
Yeah.
and we'll immediately trump a heart in dummy.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back to our hand and we'll immediately trump a second heart in dummy.
Mhm.
And again, this is why I think the play of the cards is so fun and so just incredibly magical. I just love it. It's typical, for a group of players who are newer to bridge to say, okay, I won that with the ace. Now I have to call trump. Well, in this particular case, you have to wait. Because the way I think of it is that the singleton and those little spades, they're a gigantic asset in dummy. And if you take the spade, if you call trump right away, you've just thrown away your asset.
So you go for cross roughing?
Well, you can't, there's nothing really to rough in your hand. You don't need.
Well, not until you get the clubs out.
Yeah.
So how many times do you go around? Because I haven't counted them. Are you planning on both west and east to have 2 more rounds?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, we've got 4 of them, so they've got 9.
Okay, okay.
So as long as they split 6-3, we're okay. And if they
Okay,
split
okay, so
7-2,
chances
somebody
are
probably would have
in our
preempted.
favor. Okay,
But how are you gonna get back? How are you gonna play the clubs so that you can make use of all the long clubs over there to,
Yeah. On this hand, I'm personally going to be conservative. I'm going to win the ace of hearts and I'm going to trump a heart. And I'm going to come back to my hand and trump another heart. And now all I've got is the diamond suit to worry about. I'm okay. I don't want to finesse the club, because if I lose the club finesse, I could then lose 3 diamonds.
So you're gonna use the spades.
but you're
as
gonna lose 3
transportation?
diamonds.
Yeah, I'm only in 4.
Okay.
I'm happy to lose 3 diamonds.
but you're
Well,
gonna get
not
back to
happy,
your
but-
hand because you're gonna lead 1 spade, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the ace of hearts,
Yeah,
trump a heart, come back over here somehow, trump my second heart. Then I'm gonna call trumps. And I've still got, I got 5 spade tricks and a heart is 6 and 2 clubs is 8. And I will have trumped 2 hearts in dummy to get to 10. Pretty cool. If you call trump first, you're stuck with the heart losers. I'm going to skip this hand because we kind of did it last week and we're close to the top of the hour. When you pull down this presentation, you'll find a reminder of the key points on planning the play of a no trump hand, count the tricks you can take immediately, and look for ways to take more tricks. And those are typically setting up honor cards or long suits or taking finesses. When we get into more detail about playing a no trump hand later on, we'll talk about, do you ever need to wait before taking your first ace, or you have to worry about entries? And when you download this, and we'll get to this in several weeks, there's a whole scheme for how do you show a balanced hand. 15 to 17, you open one no trump. With fewer or more, you do something different. I'm not going to spend time on this today. And planning the play of a suit contract, I think some of you have purchased this book, Planning the Play of a Bridge Hand. I love it when a title makes sense. It's a wonderful, wonderful book. You pick the hand with the longer trump suit. You count the losers. And it's okay to include help from dummies high cards. And then you think about, how can I get rid of them? Can I discard them on long suits and dummy? Can I trump them or take finesses? And all the tools from no trump apply here. And the reason I kind of hurried through that is I really wanted to show you this slide. So again, this is my mom's quote, down one is a good bid. I wanted to show you two hands that my wife and I ran into recently. I think we declared one and we defended one. So let's take a look at this. I don't want to look at it in tons of detail given the time, but it's 26 combined high card points. There's no 8-card major fit. And you have all the suits stopped. So 3 no trump seems like a great contract, right?
Mhm.
As the cards lie, there were 97 tables that played this hand, and 94 of them were in 3 no trump. And 86 of them went down one. So when you go down one, it's okay. Here's another hand. We got an 8-card spade fit, right?
Mhm.
8-card spade fit between the two hands, 27 high card points. There's a little bit of shape, you know, there's doubletons. 4 spades seems like a great contract. 109 tables in this tournament. 97 of them were in 4 spades. 95 of them went down. And here's the really interesting thing, because I looked at the other tables. The only people who made it were when the defense made a boo-boo. So sometimes you bid something that is a really appropriate contract, and just as the cards lie, you can't make it. So if you bid and you go down one, don't worry about it. Just think about my mom. I have a slide here on differences between suit and no trump contracts. When you download this, you can look at that. Today, what we're going to do is take a break. I'm sorry I ran over. And then, oops, it should say up to 4 hands. We'll each sit south. And we'll do the usual thing where we bid, because we haven't really talked about bidding yet in this year, this calendar year. We'll bid, and then we'll discuss it and correct it if needed, and then we'll play it, and then we'll discuss it. Questions?